Bond was a fantasy. I lived the reality. Those were the words of Duško Popov, the man who inspired Ian Fleming's greatest creation, James Bond. He sat at the poker table, cigarette in hand, calm, unreadable. Across from him was a Nazi officer, loud, arrogant, and certain he couldn't lose. Popov raised the stakes, more than anyone else at the table dared to match. The officer's grin faltered. Sweat gathered at his temple. Popov said nothing. He simply stared, steady, silent, until the man folded. Popov collected his chips without a smile. He hadn't just won the hand. He'd dominated the room. Among those watching that night was a young British intelligence officer named Ian Fleming. He saw Popov's poise, his confidence, and the effortless way he turned danger into control. Years later, that scene, a casino, a bluff, a man who never flinched, would become the foundation for Casino Royale. Fleming had seen the real thing. Before there was James Bond, there was Duško Popov. Outside the casino, Duško Popov's life was no less extraordinary. He was born into privilege, a wealthy Serbian family with influence, power, and taste. From a young age, he stood out for his sharp mind and sharper tongue. He studied law in Germany, spoke several languages, and moved easily through circles of diplomats and businessmen. It was there, in pre-war Europe, that he first caught the attention of German intelligence. They saw a charming, confident young man who could blend into any room, the perfect spy. But Popov had no intention of serving the Reich. When British intelligence learned of his recruitment, they saw something else, an opportunity. They flipped him, turning him into a double agent for MI6. His codename was Tricycle, because he managed 3 other agents beneath him. Popov became the man who lied for a living, and did it beautifully. He dined with Nazis, drank with diplomats, and seduced the wives of men who wanted him dead. Every gesture, every story, every glass of champagne served a purpose. He lived fast, spent freely, and charmed everyone around him. Not for pleasure, but for cover. To the world, he was a playboy. To his enemies, a mystery. And to British intelligence, one of their most valuable weapons. In 1941, Duško Popov received a new assignment from his German handlers, a detailed questionnaire about American naval defenses, with an unusual focus on one place, Pearl Harbor. He understood immediately. The Japanese were planning something, and the Germans wanted to help them prepare. Popov knew this information could save thousands of lives. Under British orders, he flew to the United States to warn the FBI. He arrived in New York like he did everywhere. Sharp suit, quiet confidence, a smile that could open doors or close them. He wasn't a man who begged to be believed. He expected it. But the man he met was J. Edgar Hoover, the most powerful lawman in America, and he was everything Hoover disliked. The charm, the women, the gambling, the effortless arrogance. Popov embodied the kind of man Hoover couldn't stand. Popov laid the German document on his desk and explained what it meant. Hoover barely looked at it. He dismissed him as unreliable, a liar chasing attention. 4 months later, on December 7, 1941, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, exactly as Popov had warned. He had risked everything to sound the alarm, and no one had listened. After the attack, Hoover erased every trace of their meeting. Popov returned to Europe disgusted, betrayed, but more determined than ever. If honesty couldn't save lives, he would do what he'd always done best, lie beautifully and win. By 1943, Duško Popov had become one of Britain's most daring double agents. To his German handlers, he was a trusted informant with access to British secrets. To MI6, he was their perfect weapon, a liar the enemy believed. He lived like no other spy. One day he was dining with Nazi officers in Lisbon, laughing over champagne. The next, he was in London, reporting everything he'd heard to MI6. He spent Allied money freely, drove fast cars, and had lovers in every city he passed through. And somehow it all worked, because every act of arrogance, every show of wealth, made him more convincing. As the Allies prepared for the invasion of France, Popov was given his most dangerous mission yet, to deceive the Germans about where the invasion would land. Through coded messages, fake maps, and staged meetings, he sold them a story so detailed it couldn't be doubted. He made them believe the attack would come at Pas-de-Calais, not Normandy. Hitler trusted the illusion. Entire divisions waited for an invasion that never came. When Allied troops landed on the beaches of Normandy on June 6, 1944, Popov's deception helped change the course of the war. He had done it not with guns or violence, but with nerve, charm, and control. He lived the life Fleming would later write about, a man who seduced his enemies, bluffed entire empires, and made the impossible look effortless. Long before the world met James Bond, Duško Popov was already him.